Welcome to the B-side for March 2018. In this video, I am going to show you all of the sweet records I got this month and talk about the albums I loved this month, and some that I didn't like so much. Also, as usual, there will be a giveaway in this B-side, so make sure you stick around for that. Alright, March had a lot of albums. Some of them were great, some a little underwhelming. I'm going to tell you what I thought of them. First up, I am wearing a Fort Vine shirt because I'm a big fan of these guys and they just dropped their new album, Stay Magical. Fort Vine has won my heart for a very long time. They're not just friends of mine, they also are terrific, accomplished musicians that put their heart onto the canvas when they write a song, and it really comes through in the music and the songwriting. Stay Magical is a heightened version of their first album, One and the Same. I love this album. This is easily in the top 5 albums I've heard this entire year. Make sure you go to their Bandcamp and listen to it. It is a healthy dose of indie rock with indie folk, soul. There are so many different elements in play on this record. I cannot recommend it enough. The vocals between the two lead singers doing their harmonies and singing separately, everything comes together perfectly. It is just a feel-good album that I really think you should check out. Highly recommended. Of Montreal, White is Relic, Irrealis Mood. As mentioned, this is very late in their career. They've had a ton of albums, and the past few have been a bit lackluster for me. This one intrigued me in the way that it was different and harkened back to the era that I loved of them, where they had really funky bass lines, and it had a little more dancey element to it at times. But overall, after 1 or 2 listens, it wasn't quite there. It still hasn't reached that level of Montreal that I fell in love with back in the day, and I think that this album will grow on me the more I listen to it, but they're heading in the right direction. If they start putting out more records like this moving forward, it's going to definitely get my attention a lot more. I still would love to see them live, and hopefully this album grows on me like I said. Bishop Nehru, Elevators Act 1 and 2. I was super excited for this album, and overall I liked it, but it left a lot to be desired. This album was co-produced by Kaytranada and MF Doom. They each had their own half of the album, and you could definitely hear their influence on each half. I would say the beats on this album are by far the strongest part. Now, I won't say that Bishop Nehru isn't a talented rapper, because he is. He has some clever lines, he has a confident flow. I like what he's doing, but overall what he's saying is relatively substanceless. I wasn't too impressed by the lyrical content, and I also felt like his lyrics and bars fell flat compared to the production, which kind of took the forefront. Which, for his album, I don't think that should have been the case. I think that Kaytranada and Doom should have added a flair to it, but I don't think that they should have really been the driving force because it wasn't their album. I'm also disappointed that Doom only got 1 verse on the album and it felt a little phoned in. It was nice to hear a Doom verse as always, but overall, it didn't seem like his heart was in it, and I think I liked Nehruvian Doom, his last album, a little more than Elevators, which I actually read he was going for the hip-hop version of Pet Sounds. Now, that is a really bold thing to claim, even as a joke. I don't think it reached that level by any means. I'm going to give it a couple more listens to see if maybe the nuances will sneak out, but overall, it was a very average album that I enjoyed. Mount Eerie has put out Now Only, which is the follow-up to A Crow Looked at Me, which was the unbearably sad album about his wife passing away. This album is more of that, but I liked it a lot. It was less aggressively sad and depressing, and it almost was a little more tongue-in-cheek at times. He was almost poking fun at how sad it was, and I don't mean that in a way he was making fun of what happened, of course, but in terms of the listener trying to get enjoyment from the album as a musical album, it was definitely more accessible and digestible than the last one when it comes to multiple listens. So I definitely like this one. I'm going to try to pick it up on vinyl soon. David Byrne's American Utopia came out. I did give it 1 listen passively, and I liked what I heard of it. It was definitely weird though. It was experimental as you would expect from a David Byrne album, and he has some cool collaborations on there, like I mentioned, with Brian Eno and One of Tricks Point Never. But on first listen, I think it's definitely one you need to spend a lot of intense time with. This isn't exactly a throw it on in the background and enjoy it album. There's so much going on from track to track that you really need to spend time and let it kind of sink in. So I haven't had a chance to do that yet, so I don't feel like I'm authorized to even give an opinion on it. Overall, I would say it is more good than it is bad. Jack White, I didn't get a chance to listen to Boarding House Reaches, although I will say that overall, from the reviews online, it does not seem like it's doing well. I did not like the early singles, and the fact that even the early singles didn't win me over is a huge thing, because for Lazaretto, I liked that song. And his first album, I liked the singles he put out before the album came out, so I don't know if this one's going to win me over, and I'm not really jumping at the chance to listen to it in full. If you guys love it, let me know. Otherwise, I might just kind of put it off until I'm bored one day and I want some new Jack White. I know it came out. I haven't had a chance to listen because I'm still waiting on the record, which should show up probably a day or two after I film this. But MF Doom and Czarface, Czarface meets Metalface, has not come in yet. I wanted to spin it for the first time because I'm really excited for it. I've tried not to read anything about it. I've heard some mixed reviews though, just through the grapevine. I'm really excited for it, and I'll probably give some kind of review on my Instagram. And finally, the album that I loved this month, right up there with Fort Vine, was Yola Tengo, There's a Riot Going On. These guys have been around for an exceptional amount of time, and they have put out one of the most consistent catalogs of music in music history. I will say that without a doubt. The amount of albums these guys have put out that all have a different sound to them and all evoke amazing listening experiences. Yola Tengo is one of those bands that is way too under the radar for your average person, and everyone should know about them. This album is an excellent entry point into their catalog. It blends doo-wop, it blends alt-rock, it has so many different elements to it, and I love the way it sounds. It's so syrupy and pretty to listen to, and it also has a little bit of that edge that Yola Tengo is known for throwing in. I think this is shockingly one of the best albums in their whole catalog, and like I said, coming out so late, having made music since the late 80s, that's a really impressive feat. So highly recommend this one, and you're gonna have a chance to win it. Very plain cover. The back is a pretty wooded thing going on, and the records themselves, I got the limited edition, of course, which is on this really cool translucent orange. I like it a lot visually, and the album itself sounds great. It's a really solid pressing. I heard some mixed reviews about the black pressing. I think it's supposed to be a little questionable, but this pressing, loved it. So you want to win the record I just told you was amazing, and the limited version at that? Here's how you do it. Long story short, a good friend of mine, I would actually call him a mentor at one point in my life, has created a board game. It's really just a party game for friends. It's super simple to play, and it's one of those things you can do. It's really short. You just kind of play it. It takes maybe 30 minutes. If you want to check out their Kickstarter, which they've already met their goal, but if you want to donate, you'll get a copy of the game. You can learn more about it. Long story short, you take 4 die that have many sides to them because it has every letter of the alphabet, and you roll it. 4 of them are together. It comes up with an acronym. You all go around then coming up with a funny, ridiculous acronym for those letters. The best one, voted on by whoever's judging that round, will give the person a yak. The game was once called Yacronyms, but now it's just called Yaks. Keeping it simple, and you come little cute little yaks that you can win, and whoever has the most yaks at the end wins. It's a really good game like Cards Against Humanity. It's a really good drinking game if you're into that, and I think this is going to be a huge success. So all of you get a chance to play Yaks right now. Pretend I just rolled 4 massive multi-sided die, and the letters it came up with are RDMC. So here's my acronym. Real dudes make calypso. If you're a male musician, you should take note. So now it's your turn. Leave a comment on this video, RDMC, leave whatever your acronym is, and if you leave one, you're entered to win Yola Tengo, There's a Riot Going On, the limited version. This is open internationally. I look forward to seeing what acronyms you come up with. Now let's talk a little bit about all the awesome records I got this month. Shpongle, Tales of the Inexpressible. This is the second release they've done that's a reissue of a long out-of-print record that they've done with all the bells and whistles possible. This is this gorgeous hardbound book, and obviously I have a really nice spine with this spot foil treatment to the logo, to the track listing on the back. Everything about it is just beautiful. You open it up to have the records that are housed inside, but also really cool art pieces, and some of it has spot gloss. They really pulled out all the stops for this release, just like they did with their first album, Are You Shpongled? If you don't know Shpongle, they are really good psy-trance, which is just kind of psychedelic trance music, as you can guess from that genre. And it's really catchy, really fun, really spacey stuff. And they put on a really great live show if you haven't had a chance to see them. But I'm hoping they do this to the rest of their catalog with these really deluxe treatments, because all of it is out of print. And now that I have 2, I need the rest of them. This next one is by Akira Kosemura, In the Dark Woods. This was a Bandcamp discovery. I was going through Bandcamp and looking for really good chill out, ambient, modern classical stuff just to add to my ever-growing list of stuff I love to listen to in the background. And this album came up as, I guess, one of the best-selling, so I decided to check it out. And from the first track, I was blown away by how absolutely beautiful it is. I would classify this as modern classical more than anything else, but it has elements of down-tempo. It has a vibe to it that's more than just someone playing classical music. It evokes powerful emotion in the listener as it takes you on this oral journey through what I guess are the dark woods, and I really loved it from the first note to the last. This was such a cool random discovery, and it's on beautiful gold vinyl. So if you like modern classical ambient type stuff, this is definitely something you should at very least listen to, and I would say buy, because when this goes out of print, I can see this being very difficult to find, just because this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to this genre. I really, really love this, and definitely one of my bigger recommendations this month. If you guys remember my top albums of the year last year, A Cosmic Gift, A Journey to the Purple Planet definitely made that top 10. This is my boy Richard Houghton and Brandon Berger. The two of them have come together and they've made A Cosmic Gift, and they have many albums. This is their most recent, and it is the only one that features guest vocalists. It adds an entire new texture to the album that I love. And the vocals of Grace Bugbee are just beautiful and haunting and wonderful. But then you get stuff like Throwback Zach using the vocoder, and that stuff is really kind of Daft Punky and cool and danceable. The whole album just has such a groove to it, and I finally got my vinyl copy of it, so I'm super excited. First of all, one of the coolest looking records I've seen in a very long time. It has this really nice green, purple, black swirl. I don't think I have anything that looks remotely like this, and there's a hologram on it. So if you look right here, it's all etched in. As it spins, you get Richard's amazing holograms that he does on some of his releases that add another layer to the visual of this release. Everything about this is so well thought out and well done. Fairly sure these are sold out on his Bandcamp by now, I'm not sure, but if there are a few left, you should definitely grab it. I want to show this guy off because this is a game that is incredibly nostalgic for me. I played this all throughout my childhood on Sega Genesis, Toejam and Earl. There were two of them on Sega Genesis. One was, I believe, on Xbox 360 or Xbox, just the regular, I'm not sure. And I think there's a new game coming out called Back in the Groove. Now, this was part of the Kickstarter, and if you did it, they allowed you to purchase this wonderful Toejam and Earl colored record. This one is on Earl color, this too is on Toejam, and the Toejam one actually has a really cool etching of them just chilling out like they do. Soundtrack is super funky and awesome, and this new one, it definitely has some of the older tracks as well as the new tracks, all done instrumentally, so there's no kind of MIDI sound like the old school Genesis tracks. Go away! If you ever played this game as a kid, definitely a good nostalgia buy. This is a great package, well put together. It sounds really good. And yeah, Toejam and Earl forever. Super excited about this. My copies of My Bloody Valentine, Loveless, and Isn't Anything have finally come in. If you don't know My Bloody Valentine, they are shoegaze darlings, and they basically take beautiful fuzzy sounds and throw them at your ears and overwhelm them with noise that is just as beautiful as it is slightly abrasive in a way that kind of adds this juxtaposition to music that you never thought was possible. Loveless has not had a good track record of having good vinyl releases, and I've never owned the bootleg or the original press of this. However, I can say with confidence that this, not only having a really nice gatefold and a really nice jacket and a thick spine, this release is excellent. It sounds wonderful, there's no issues when listening to it, no excessive surface noise or popping that's distracting. I think they did an amazing job with this, as well as with Isn't Anything, which also gets a really nice gatefold and the deluxe jacket treatment. Now, I got lucky enough that they sent me the alternate cut of Isn't Anything, which only came with some orders. It's just a bonus in a white sleeve, but it's another mastering of the album. So I can't wait to listen to it side by side and hear it. I haven't had a chance to pop it on the table yet, but I'm really curious how different it is from this version of Isn't Anything. But overall, if you're on the fence about this pressing, I know it's a little pricey overseas to get it shipped. It is worth every penny if you are a fan of shoegaze, and especially these guys, because these records are not easy to find good copies of. We finally have them. And finally, Frank Ocean's The Endless has not shown up yet. I am starting to believe it will never show up. I may have just thrown my money to avoid that Frank Ocean is laughing his way to the bank. I don't know. If it shows up, I'll show you in a video one day. Thanks for watching, guys. This was the B-side. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. More videos very soon. Good luck to everyone who enters the giveaway.